Good morning, everyone. How are you all? Okay, I would like to tell me about in brief. I'm Vasanth Kumar. I come from Andhra Pradesh, and the year in which I got selected was in 2021, and it was CSE 2020. So, and I got 170 rank in that. I was part of foundation program here, focused foundation program in 2018. So that went till June of 2019. So I used to sit in the same classroom here, there, somewhere in the backbench student. So yeah, I'd like to talk about how to utilize time during this foundation batch. You all must be writing this for the first time or second or third time. All are first timers. That is nice. So you can relate to my journey well because forum is the place where I got my true foundation for my preparation. So yeah, I'll start. So, notes making is important. Okay. So, okay, I would like to tell about how I arrived at Forum first. So this was in 2018 when I completed my graduation, and I came to Delhi to prepare. And my brother was giving; he also got selected with me. He got rank 32. So that year he was giving interview in for CSE 2017 examination. So I thought, okay, he is giving interview, so it means at that time I was new with this exam, so I don't have clear cut idea. So I thought, okay, giving interview means getting selection, so uska ho jayega, mera bhi ho jayega, मैं भी जाऊंगा. So I came here, but uska selection नहीं हुआ. So that was the point. Okay, I thought, okay, I'll go back, but he has given his MGP here in ForumIAS, and he liked it, especially the guidance which is available in ForumIAS. So he thought, okay, don't go to the traditional major coaching industries that are there here. I'll make you join in ForumIAS. There you will get very good guidance in your initial attempts, which he didn't get in his initial attempts, and so he took more attempts to clear this exam. So I came here in ForumIAS. He introduced me to Vice Shantanu sir, you must be knowing. So they took very good care of me. I joined here in foundation batch. So I was like sitting somewhere in the back. It was around 150 people in this class. So I was like very underconfident. I come from Andhra. I never came out of Andhra. I don't know good Hindi at the time. So I was sitting somewhere in the back, never not talking to too many people. So people who used to sit in the first rows, they were like very confident, come from good arts background. They had good understanding of what the subject is, polity and economy. So I was like underconfident, and then I went to my brother's. I was like, no, I cannot do this. So people are already good in this preparation. I was like starting just now, and he was like, no, you change your place. You go to first row or second row. You talk to you whenever sir asks any question or you have any doubt, ask him so that your confidence will develop. So I shifted my place slowly, not immediately, slowly, one row by row. So I came here by the time of December of that year. So it plays a role. It plays a role in building confidence. It's like we have to look at this preparation in a holistic manner. So only by talking what we are prepared, we can be sure that okay, we are going in the right direction. If a sir is asking some question, and if you say that answer correctly, that is like a big booster for your preparation. You'll be feeling like okay, I'm going in the right direction. But you remaining passive in the class is like okay, you'll lose the interest in the class. If you're more and more active, if sir is praising you, or if he's like okay, you gave good answer, you'll come to class tomorrow and you'll try to be correct the immediate next day. So that happens. So I arrived at forum and I took classes. I used to take classes. You all must be knowing that last room, which looks like library, that was actually library at that time in 2018. So our whole day was here. So I used to come here at 7 o'clock in the morning, write test, two mains questions and 20 objective questions, 7 to 8 o'clock, and attend that discussion 8 to 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, we used to have class in the same room. So it used to end at 1 o'clock, have lunch, come here again to the library and spend till 9 o'clock in the night. So my complete day is in this whole floor, whole building. So that used to happen. I used to get that atmosphere only when I was in +2, when I was in a boarding school. So again, I got the same atmosphere here in ForumIAS, and I felt for a person who was not internally bit less motivated, this atmosphere is very conducive for him to do good or be in a competitive atmosphere. So that used to happen, and we got very good, good less, no, not less number of students, but a very good peer group. So it used to be around 150 people in the start, but later, I think by the time of September or November that year, it was around 30-40 students. Many people left the coaching, or they shifted to online mode or something. So people who used to sit here, so we like very competitive. We used to write tests, so we used to check each other's scores. There used to be rank list right there in the notice board. So सबके सामने बेइज्जती हो जाते उस समय. So it was like in the first exam I got something around 70 rank. So I was like no, सबके सामने नाम आ गया अभी वसंत 70 rank. So ऐसा नहीं, अभी तो improve करना पड़ेगा. So that was one of my motivations. So okay, slowly, I think by the time of December, I think I started consistently scoring one or two rank like that. So that used to be a big booster. So and also mains test. So mains का भी test होते थे उस समय. So 2 questions every day. So 2 questions every day. The test used to be in parallel with the classes. So polity का classes होता है उस समय. So next day also the exam is on polity objective questions and polity descriptive questions. So first day, I think, or second day, the exam is on preamble. So question is like examine the objectives written in the preamble and the philosophy behind them. So I wrote the whole preamble in my answer in the first page, and I wrote small things about all these equality, fraternity, and all. So I went to the paper evaluator, and he said, "Why did you write preamble here?" I was like, "Sir, preamble, it's like examine the objectives of preamble." He's like, that is not the way you have to write answer. You have to explain what is the philosophy behind preamble. So we'll make mistakes. We'll make that type of mistakes in your first test, but you have to take it as a constructive thing. Don't take it to heart. Initially, I was a little bit hesitant in taking criticism. I was like, I was doing hard work. I was writing whatever you are asking, but whatever we feel is different. Whatever the UPSC want is different. We have to adapt to that. And that is how my association with Forum started. So, and nextly, I would like to talk about the time management along with the foundation thing. So, initially, I was attending classes regularly, like polity and economy, and then this world history classes started. I felt boring. So I asked my brother, and he's like, world history का weightage भी थोड़ा कम होता है. If you can skip, you can skip. So मैंने skip कर दिया वो classes. मतलब इधर ही library में बैठ के पढ़ता था. तो but I found like when I was doing classes, if I'm spending 3 hours a day in my class, the rest of the day I'm using very productively, because I know that I already 3 hours my day is over. Now I have to use the time. If I'm skipping class, I felt like I have so much of time for the day. I was like the productivity became less. So then I thought, whatever be the class, I'll be sitting in the class. I'll be sitting in the class for 3 hours or 4 hours, whatever it is, but only then I'll be utilizing the remaining time very judiciously and productively. So that used to be my philosophy. I fixed that, and I used to sit in class, whatever be the class, be it ethics or world history or anything, be it boring, be it go to, let it be 5 hours class also sometimes. So that I think you can apply sitting in class. It depends from person to person. If someone can read sitting in a library productively than being at a class, it's okay. But doing class is must. If you do a class, the things will go into mind in a subconscious memory, and they will come into the paper in direct exam, or you will practice it every day. It used to happen with me when I was doing Dipin sir classes, because most of the Dipin sir's handouts that he used to give, I used to note down whatever point he used to tell it in a very jovial manner, the content and everything. So he used to, whenever there is something about this South Korea or North Korea. North Korea is a very notorious state. So he used to make jokes on Kim and all the content. So the content associated with that jokes is in my mind at that time. So whenever you'll be writing some essay or ethics, you'll write automatically those examples about the how authoritarian that state was, and automatically that content will be there. So sitting in a class, it will put all the content in a different way in your subconscious mind. So that can be that you can relate to and you can practice that. And what else? Okay. So yeah, make a schedule for yourself. It was like so when I was doing economy classes. So ultimately, I know that I'll be reading some other book than Sir's notes. Let it be polity. So you all know that you'll be reading Lakshmikant. So Sir will be telling some class notes. You all will be writing it, and you will be keeping it aside, and you'll read Lakshmikant. Rather, keep Lakshmikant with you doing class. So whatever Sir is saying, you parallelly read it in the book. So if there is any, you add it to into it, and if there is he's saying the same thing which is there in the book, it will be like you are reading it again and listening it at the same time. So do that, because I made notes for many subjects in the initial period of my preparation while during classes, but I never read them for my mains or something, because ultimately I read the main books or main sources like Lakshmikant, or for economy I read at the time ForumIAS along with the classes. So I used to bring my ForumIAS notes here, and whatever extra points that Sir used to tell, I used to add it into it. So be it spectrum also, or ancient or medieval. Ancient and medieval, I used to read the forum notes only. So you can do that. It will save your time. So while you're doing this foundation batch, you can parallelly make notes for your mains also. So I used to do that. It was like from 2018 to 2019, I made notes for many of the topics like governance along with class, and GA and most of the topics in GS3, because you'll get so many good examples from this class or Dipin Sir's class for GS2 and GS3. So making a notes before your mains or before your prelims, it is like a big confidence for you. You're like, okay, all things for my mains is sorted. So try making notes for your mains for GS2 and GS3 especially, because GS1 you will be reading for prelims thoroughly, and you have to write that content on paper for mains. And for ethics, you have to write more tests rather than reading a book. So only for GS2 and GS3 you need very good notes, and for that you need updation every day. You have to update each and every example, be it from class or newspaper, everything. Make your notes very flexible, be it online or offline. If it is offline, write it on A4 sheet, tie it to a thread or something. You add it every day, but don't make it too thick or too many things. Don't write too many things. Write only important points in it. Generic content you have to develop on your own, reading more books and listening to classes. So yeah, and are you having daily tests here in foundation every day or weekly benchmark test type of thing? Okay. So how are those tests? Like what is the pattern of the test? Like object 2 and subject 2 in the same day. Okay, that is nice. And so what is the importance of those tests? So I still remember when I came in 2018, I had I was not completely thorough with this preparation. So right from the day one, forum made me start writing answers. I don't want to write answers, but some faculty came. He distributed papers and he's like, write the answer. So I wrote that preamble answer that I told. So they'll pull you out of your comfort level. And in this preparation, people who try to be in their comfort level, this won't be happening. You have to come out of your comfort level. So you should be writing whatever thoughts that are coming onto your paper. Evaluate those thoughts with some paper evaluator, and he will tell you, okay, this is not the way you have to write. This is not the direction in which you have to think. the question is demanding something, you are writing something. There is critically examine in the question, and you wrote only points like on the advantages of this question. So all these things, they won't happen overnight. They will develop over the period. So I still remember by the time of January of 2019, so Shantanu sir used to tell me after seeing my answers, okay, uh, Vasanth, okay, if you clear prelims, I'm hopeful that you will clear mains too, because you got that knack of writing answers. You can write good answers now. So you clear prelims, and we'll take your rest of it, and you do optional also well. So, but in 2018 in the start, when I wrote an essay, I guess I wrote essay in a GS structure, and I went to Shantanu sir, and he was like, okay, don't write essays for some time. You have to be mature, more mature enough to write a good essay. So because I just completed some polity classes and I started writing essay, so all my essay was with polity only. So that will happen for writing a good answer or good essay. There is a need for bit of maturity in the content, not maturity in the mind, maturity in the content. And maturity in the content will come only if you read more and more, listen to more diverse points. For example, many people will write some generic points. What makes your answer look unique? So I think in some of the classes or some of the, I think in depends our classes. So there is this notion of developed countries versus developing countries, and why developed countries, why we cannot why we cannot be a developed country. So there is this geographical angle to it also. So the labor productivity in our country is less because of we being in a tropical country. Tropical country is energy everything. So that dimension I got from a class. So whenever there is a question on developed countries or something about India, manufacturing, productivity and everything, I used to keep the geographical dimension even in essay, and that used to be rewarding. It is a bit unique point. Not many people write that. So many of these type of points, like I think even in the Dipinser classes only, I got to know about this globalization. There is globalization and there is this globalization topic. So it was like MNCs coming to India, they adapting to local culture of a country, like McDonald's not making pork or beef burger in India. So that is globalization. That is also a unique dimension. So these type of points you have to add from class. You don't have to write all this impact of family, of impact of globalization on family. All these are a bit generic to make a notes out of it. So please put those in unique points in your notes, and generic content you will automatically write by listening to classes or reading more and more books. So this happens over the year. This won't happen overnight. You have to write more and more answers. Even on the day two, I was asked, okay, what are the provisions of recent Consumer Protection Amendment Act 2019 in 2018? So in 2016 or some amendment. So I was like, I don't know single thing about it, but I didn't write the provisions of the amendment, but I wrote what are the advantages with consumer protection, protecting the consumer rights. All these points I wrote. So ultimately, I'm not addressing the question there, but I have developed that knack of writing something, at least something related to that question in any answer. And that helped me in my mains in 2020, because I could write all those 20 questions within the time limit of 3 hours with more than, like around 7-8 points for a 10 marker and more than 10-11 points for a 15 marker. And that happened only with my preparation, only with me generating that art of generating more points. And that won't come overnight. You have to write more tests so that you will develop. So if there is a question on globalization, you have to write at least 5 points as advantages and 5 points of disadvantages. So that you cannot write it in a single day. Only if you have that knack, okay, you will think of geographical dimension, political dimension, economic, ecological, business dimension, ethics dimension. So that will come over the time, over the year. But we have to be very disciplined, and we have to write in a very disciplined manner. And reading solutions is the second most important thing. So I used to take solutions to my ego. It was like when I was writing some points, I felt like, okay, I addressed all the dimensions. So when I read the solution, there were 3 more dimensions in it. So automatically I used to read them, and they used to get registered in my mind in such a way that I took it to ego. So those 3 points were like, next time whenever this question comes, I'll write these 3 points also. So automatically out of 8 points, I used to write 7 points there whenever that question repeats next time. So you'll be writing very good answer. So this reading solutions is a very good thing, because lot of our hard work is done by ForumIAS in that manner. For 2020 mains, for the first time, I was like, I made some of the solutions. I tore apart some pages from the solutions and I kept them as main source for something because they were such comprehensive. So I added, there is a question on all these RTA amendment, environment protection comparison with 19 Environment Protection Act, draft EIA is there. It came in 2020. So that is there in the test series, comparison with the previous thing. So critically examining national education policy. I read national education policy, but critically examining the national education policy is something I haven't found anywhere. I found it in the test series of forum and the question came. So there were many questions. I think by the time of mains, I expected around 13 to 14 questions and they came in the main paper. And it will happen only if you go through these previous year questions, and it will happen only if you are thorough with your syllabus. It's not like I expected. It's like there in syllabus and the question came. I expected a question on diaspora which didn't come for last 2 years or something. I prepared thoroughly for it. There is question on diaspora. It is there in syllabus also. I'm not expecting something new. So there is this Right to Information Act amendment going from past 2 years in the news. I thought, okay, this year it will come. So and it came. And Environment Impact Assessment 2020 draft, it is there in the news. For a year long, it is there in the test series. I thought, okay, it is important because it is directly mentioned in the syllabus, Environment Impact Assessment. So we thoroughly prepared. There are 7 or 8 amendments in it. So I tried to by heart all the 7 to 8 amendments, and it came and I dumped all those things there. So it is like being smart in that, expecting more and more questions from the syllabus only. You see the previous year questions. For example, so there is this, but you cannot chase some questions like these. All these questions came like S400 or blue LED. You cannot chase these type of questions. There is syllabus. There is inclusive growth. So the question will come on inclusive growth or something related to it. I read about inclusive growth thoroughly. I made notes out of it, 2 to 3 pages. All these dimensions of inclusive growth, physical deficit, which is harming. So there is this term I used to use, that physical deficit is harming the intergenerational equity, or that intergenerational equity is there in my notes. And the question came on intergenerational, intragenerational equity. Obviously, I know that this question is something related to inclusive growth, wala topic in GS3. So whatever there in my notes, I remember all those stats now. So I try to put all those stats, all those examples, inequality between generation, inequality in the same generation, women, or all these caste discriminations, all these things in the intragenerational equity. On intergenerational equity, we used to have this fiscal deficit, environmental commons, there are the sustainable development. So all those dimensions were there in my notes. But it is just that we have to mold that content for, it should be in sync with the question that they have asked. So you make notes for the whatever the topics there are in the syllabus, and obviously you'll replicate them or you'll mold them in such a way that they will be suitable for the question that they are asking. So there is this national education policy is there. So obviously education is there in the syllabus, and it is everybody knows that education policy question will come mostly. And it came in GS2, GS4, I think not in essay, GS2, 2 places. So this is how we have to prepare. We have to be thorough with whatever it is there in the syllabus. If some national health policy comes now, we have to be thorough with it. Remember all the provisions in it. So, but don't chase something like some disorders, genetic disorders policy. Don't chase and don't try to remember them. Be broad in your preparation. Prepare whatever the topics mentioned in the syllabus. So make notes out of the whatever sources you have. Add unique points to it. Unique points only will fetch you score. Because I remember my brother, he got selected in his 5th attempt, and he gave 2 mains before it. And although he cleared mains, but his GS scores were a bit low. And he used to tell me that he used to write, okay, whatever points that he knows, and that's it. No extra points, no unique points. And that was the reason for his not getting selected before. So in 2020, when we both cleared prelims, okay, we both sat together, we both discussed with each other, so what went wrong for you? We talked to some toppers who are from previous year batches through Telegram or something. So they told us that, okay, write unique points, good points, which creates value, which looks unique in your paper. So we tried collecting all those points for every topic in the syllabus. So for example, if there is education, so whenever there is this question on education or why we are lacking in education, why the participation rate or children's essay report comes. So It says that a fourth class student cannot do a second class problem. So although we are getting degrees, we are not skilled enough to be in the labor. So historical angle, so we went through history books, the development of education during the British times. So there is this Varda scheme of education of Gandhiji, which is relevant even now. So we used to keep that in our notes. Okay, you can use it in essay or GS or wherever, so that it will be a unique point here, and at the same time you are touching a historic angle. So that we kept in the notes, and we kept SR report in the notes. What are the schemes that are there, like Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, all the schemes. It's not like I am writing each and every provision of the scheme. I was like writing only, okay, SSA and NEP 2020. So these are all the short bullet points in my notes. So you collect these points for example, urbanization is there, whatever is going in the news. So I used to write more examples in my answer, and I think that fetched me more marks in my mains. So examples will collect only by reading newspaper, being aware of what going around. So for example, in GS1, there is this question on urbanization or flood something. So I remember reading about this Maradu flats issue of Kerala. You must be remembering they bombed those buildings because it occupied Vembanad Lake. So I added it in my urbanization and wetlands notes, because there we know that this urban heat island effect or all these things, it's because of encroachment of wetlands. So whenever that question comes, automatically I'll be writing, okay, encroachment of wetlands, example, Maradu flats and Vembanad Lake issue. So that used to be my example. So that fetches more marks than we writing generic points. You can write generic points, but if you substantiate with the example, it will fetch more marks. So the same, there is this, we adopted some Miyawaki method or Miyakawa method, something from Japan. It is a type of afforestation method that can be used in urban areas. So that I got to know from some test series solutions. So, okay, I added it in my urbanization notes, and at the same time, whenever a question on afforestation comes. So only these type of unique points will give us more and more marks. You'll get marks, but to get more than average marks, you have to write these type of points. Only then he'll be like, okay, he wrote something apart from the crowd. So that should be our strategy for GS answer writing. In GS 1, 2, 3, write more examples, write decent number of stats in GS 3, write article numbers in GS 2 and committees. And in GS 1 society, you need examples. Obviously, society, they demand examples. So you have to write. I used to go think in such a way. So I and my brother decided in such a way that whenever society or history question comes, so we'll go in a chronology wise. So there is this question on Persian literature, or there is this question on architecture resembling the philosophy of those times. So we try to think of too many things, but we adopted a simple approach before writing mains, that okay, let's go by chronology. So I'll be starting from IVC. So IVC में क्या क्या है, biggest architecture thing. There is this Mohenjo-daro, so public bathing. People likes to build social capital. So that is the philosophy of those times. 1 point over, and there is this devotion towards women, fertility cult and everything. So women were respected of those times. Women would like to wear bangles and all these things. So they are like, even the society is a bit cosmopolitan in those times also. So automatically you'll generate 3 points from IVC, and then you come to Vedic age. So Vedic age, in the later Vedic age, women's position got low. So you'll be writing the philosophy of those times. Patriarchal nature came into the picture. So obviously, by the time you come to the Mughal period or something, you'll be writing you will be having more than 20 points, and then you have to prioritize good points. While writing, you'll think that okay, there will be 2 points in your mind. Okay, which point is good? So you'll write the better point, and the next you will generate another point. Which point is good? Okay, I'll write this point. So go chronology wise in the history questions. And in society, you go group wise. Group wise in the sense there are so many differentiations in our society. So whenever there is this question of religious practices promotes obscurantism, and it hinders rational thinking. So obviously it is about religious practices or something, or Indian traditions. So I went religion wise. So what are the practices which are good in Hinduism, which are bad in Hinduism? What are the practices which are good in Islam, bad in Islam? Good in Christianity, bad in Christianity? So in Hinduism, I went like, okay, there is this concept of Manav Dharma in Hinduism. So at the same time, there is this practice of animal killing in the Hinduism, which promotes obscurantism. There is no rationality behind it. So similarly in the Islam, whatever. So, and then you'll go some group wise, so country wise, you'll get more and more examples. If you simplify the question into different small and small groups, you will generate more points rather than we trying to think too many things, or we planning to write very good points from somewhere else. They won't come. They'll be in our mind, but we have to generate. So we have to be aware about surroundings. So if you see, so uh, there is this question on what is it called? So for example, border areas is there. So in GS3 there was this question on challenges in the border areas. So obviously the question is such a broad that you can write issues in all the borders. So rather than making 3 different borders for Pakistan or Bangladesh or Myanmar, I made a single map in my first page. I wrote started writing the answer. So obviously, if you are well aware about what's happening around in the border areas of Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Myanmar, you'll be writing a good answer. So you imagine, you run that thought in your mind. So you'll be like, in Pakistan, we are having these border clashes, we are having the ceasefires. So there is this coastal security is also got hampered during all this 26/11. So you can write all these points. With Myanmar, there is insurgency in the northeast. So there is threat to the stability in the northeast. All these points you will write only if you are aware, you are reading newspapers. There is separatist tendencies because of this NSC and Naga, Greater Nagalim. You have to write all these examples that comes from newspaper or classes. So only these type of examples, if you write these type of examples, you will fetch more marks. And you develop that habit of reading newspaper. Whenever you feel something is related to syllabus, keep your syllabus with you. Whenever you think, okay, the way I told about that Vembanad Lake and Maradu issue, so you had to relate each and every issue to syllabus, then you will be getting too many examples. At some point, I felt I had too many examples, and I wrote too many examples in the paper, and obviously it fetched me marks. And you'll be having very good fodder. You'll easily remember them. I can remember even till now that Vembanad example because I added it to my notes in 2020 somewhere. So it is because they will get registered in our mind. So there is this concept of mental health in COVID. I read an article, and there is this Project Spirit, suicide prevention and something. So Project Spirit is there. That is never mentioned in any of the test series or notes or anything. But I added it to my notes because it came in a newspaper. Project Spirit was undertaken by Indian government only in 2014 or something, especially for mental health. So whenever I got a question on health or mental health, I wrote that steps taken by Indian government, Project Spirit for mental health, because I'm adding a dimension of mental health in my health answer, and also I'm writing a scheme for mental health also. So this you can do. You'll get good points from classes also. So yeah, that is for mains. And okay, and regarding notes making you can do in A4 sheet or digital notes. You keep a single A4 sheet for a paper. So how I used to make my notes is that if there is this A4 sheet, so I used to keep a heading like, okay, globalization. So one simple definition and a line here. So I won't be adding any new definition to it. So impact of globalization on family. So positives here 1, 2, 3, negatives here 1, 2, 3, family, society, women, children, elderly. Because if you see previous year questions, there were some specific questions on impact of globalization on family or children or something. So and then on the next page you will be like adding. So you added impact. What are the latest? Okay, protectionism is going with some America first policy or something. China's, UK's Brexit. You will be adding all these examples here. So which are against the globalization. These are economic angles. And then change in culture, glorification of Western culture is there in the current times. So all these points, all these generic, these are some unique points. So all this globalization. So MNCs, which are going against Indian government, they are not paying tax. So they are discriminating between developed country and developing country in paying tax also sometimes. And some MNCs are, I even added such an example that Snapchat has said that India is not, Snapchat has commented something about India. I even added that example also, that some other country's company has commented on Indian society. I thought I will write it somewhere in essay or somewhere. So you can add any point, generic points here, and your notes is done. And you write one good example, or example, not example, some conclusion. Okay, Vasudev Kutumbakam, you can keep as a normal conclusion for your globalization, or any other good conclusion that you will get. So this used to be my notes for only globalization topic. And whenever I get any good point from test series, I used to add, if there is generic point, I will add here. If there is something impact on family, I'll add it here. So we can make it more flexible. You add pages to it. So that is how I used to make notes. And I would like to talk about the importance of guidance in your initial attempts. So guidance is the thing which is the most required for this exam. Everybody does the hard work, but only if you do the hard work in the right direction, you'll be clearing this examination. Because I remember, it varies from person to person. When I came here, I thought, okay, I'm not going to the big coaching industry here. I came to ForumIAS because ForumIAS was not famous for coaching at the time. It was very good for test series and all. I think we were the first batch maybe for the foundation at the time. So I came here, but I thought, I initially, when these world history classes used to happen, I never liked those classes. I thought, yeah, I think I made a wrong decision. I went to my brother and I told him, and he told me, no, ultimately this exam doesn't require a good coaching. This requires a good guidance. And in ForumIAS, you will get that guidance. And clearly, I'll say I got the best guidance, because many of my friends from the same college that I come from, they came here, they joined the major coaching industry that everybody knows. But ultimately, they don't. By the time of 2019, they never wrote an answer. They never wrote an essay. But I wrote more than, I think, over the year I wrote 2 questions every day. I don't know how many questions I wrote. So that happened. Obviously, I was bit ahead of them at that time. But unfortunately, I couldn't clear prelims in 2019. It was my own mistake. I changed my strategy in the last minute. I attempted less questions. But I was decently prepared. I did SFG twice in that year also, 2019. But after 2019 prelims, I analyzed myself. I thought, what went wrong for me? I went to Shantanu sir, and he told me, Vasanth, I think in 2019, you started your preparation in 2018 in such a short span of time. You read so many things that a normal person can, it is very difficult for a normal person to understand those things. You read things, but I think you try to by heart them rather than understanding them. So if there are some questions about some coal policy, open acreage licensing policy, something, I was like, okay, OALP is a part of NELP something. I used to remember only thing, but I don't exactly know what goes in it. So he told me, okay, you need to understand things from now on. You have decent amount of time. Only when you understand, you can do good in this exam. It's not about by hearting or remembering things. There are some things to remember. For example, in history, you have to remember, but you have to understand chronology. You cannot by heart a chronology. In ancient history, you had to understand the society of those times. You cannot remember. There are some things to remember. Okay, Harappan seal में ये animals है. Those are the things to remember. But Harappan times में society कैसा है? These are all the things that you have to understand. Only when you understand, you can replicate them on paper. So that is one good suggestion that I got in after 2019. That understand things rather than by hearting them. That will, automatically make you write good answers. Make you write. So for example, in essay, I think I wrote about, there is this question on economic development and social justice. So in Dipin sir classes, I guess I was listening to he was talking about the social justice topic. So he's telling about this Amartya Sen and Jagdish Bhagwati debate. I don't know what it is. And that debate is a bit technical. They'll be discussing about, we have to prioritize economic development over social justice. And he'll be talking about social justice. If we ensure social justice, economic development will automatically come. So I try to understand it after going away from class. I wrote it in my essay as introduction. So the question itself is from economic development and social justice. So I started my essay with, okay, there exists this debate between Amartya Sen and Jagdish Bhagwati in 2017 or 16. So, but they both of them couldn't arrive at a good conclusion for this. And so I think that creativity or that unique point in the introduction itself as a debate. So I think that fetched me good marks in essay that year. 142 is a decent score that year. So you have to be organic with our thoughts. Only if you understand. If you just write, okay, Jagdish Bhagwati debate in the introduction, it won't. You have to explain it. If you want to explain it, you have to understand it thoroughly. So understanding things. So why am I telling it? Okay, guidance. So Shantanu sir told me to understand things rather than by hearting. This is the first thing. You concentrate on it. You will be having too many things to read now, but try understanding them. This will be easy. If you understand a thing, even if you read it once, you can do well. If you're trying to by heart, even if you do it twice or thrice, it will be very difficult for you to remember it again. So that is one thing. And writing answers every day. I used to give him my papers personally. So he is not a paper evaluator, but I used to be in touch with him. I used to give him papers, and he used to tell me, okay, Vasanth, so there is this concept about cultural revivalism. I never wrote the examples. I never wrote the political examples of it, of how US in Trump is reviving the culture there, and how in India we are trying to revive our culture here. So I wrote culture revivalism. I wrote more about tribals and everything. I used all my anthropology knowledge there. So he used to tell me all these new dimensions. Okay, this question is mainly about this, and you're writing this. So obviously it was like if a failure. Even if I wrote an answer, it was like, okay, I am not addressing the question. So whenever I'm writing an answer next time, I'll be first clearly thinking about what they are asking, and and only when you are thinking about it for over the time. Over 1 year, if you're thinking about what the question is exactly asking, you'll write very good answers. And that helped me in mains. So the moment I see the question, I'll be like writing answer, and I'm sure that I addressed the questions properly. And that is so I got good marks in my GS in my first mains itself, and I cleared with very good margin. So it is because of my 1 year practice in Forum and 1 year good guidance from ForumIAS. So that is one part with guidance. So yeah, apart from ForumIAS, my brother helped me a lot. Without him, I wouldn't have been here. He took 5 attempts, and so I took 2 attempts. Whatever mistakes that he committed, he made me not commit those mistakes. So I would be indebted to him. So, and competition is the thing. So competition in the sense, we used to be in the same class. So whenever, although I told you about those rank lists and everything which were in notice boards at that time, so externally creating some motivation on you is very good. If nobody can be internally motivated all the time. There will be points that you will be losing strings with this preparation. Sometimes you will be feeling like there will be ups and lows in your preparation. But if there is externally someone is putting pressure on you, if ForumIAS is giving a schedule, okay, you are having test tomorrow, ultimately you will read for that. You will try to do better. You will try to excel in those. So you'll be lost in the preparation. You'll be like, okay, I think I didn't go anywhere till the November of that year. From June, I was in ORN room, ForumIAS room, ForumIAS and the room only, because the schedule was such that I cannot go anywhere. I cannot miss a test. So externally creating that environment is very, very good for this preparation, and we have to use that externally created environment also. For example, I was a bit indisciplined in my final year of graduation, and I felt, okay, I came here. I came to my brother. I thought of staying with him only because that will be like a big brother staying with me. That will create pressure on me. I'll be answerable every day to him. Okay, he used to ask, okay, आज कैसे हुआ, क्या पढ़ा? So it's like, आज श्रीराम में 20-30 pages पढ़ के आया. Like, okay. It's not like he keeping a book of some register on me, but he used to ask me every day while having dinner, or okay, आज कैसे हुआ? So I cannot skip classes first of all, because ultimately my parents will get to know if I skip classes. I cannot skip a test. So that externally created environment is there for me, and I was lucky for that. And only when we utilize that externally created environment, we can do better in this. And here, ForumIAS will keep a test. You are not doing it better. I used to see some people after not doing good in 2-3 tests, they stop writing these tests. But I cannot do that. I had to write again. I had to prove to Forum or my friends or my brother or my parents, because that is when two sons of a family, both are not doing job and staying in Delhi, spending some money, time, everything here. without going for a job. Obviously, it is a pressure on my family and pressure on us also. Everybody is in the same boat. So we had to do that. We had to prove, not first we have to prove to ourselves, and then we have to prove to someone else. So that externally created environment is there in forum, because we were in the same library, same classmates in same library. So it used to be like very good peer group. We used to compete with each other. So everybody is like, everybody will ask you, okay, Vasanth ji kaise hai aaj? So aisa. So if someone scores better than me today, I'll be like, okay, I'll try to do better than you tomorrow. So we had to keep these small targets. They sound childish, but only when you do all these small things, you will get a big result in the end. So only if you can compete well in the small rank list of 50-40 people, you'll do better with in the main exam also. Obviously, that competitive spirit will come into you. And then this SFG started. So SFG is like, it's more people now. So in first SFG, when I read polity, out of 1,000 people, I used to score 600, 700 rank. But slowly, by the end of SFG, I came into top 50 slowly. And by the time I wrote second SFG, I got the knack. Okay, I'll be like, whenever polity is there, I used to there were some times I scored under 10 rank also. So that used to be my booster for my preparation. In 1,000 people, when I'm scoring under 10 rank, it's like, okay, I'm going in the right direction. It's not like I could clear this exam. I'm going in the right direction. So only when you know that you're going in the right direction, this preparation will sustain. And create a good peer group, good environment around you. Use that environment around you. And yeah, that is the thing with environment, creating the conducive environment around you. And I was asked to talk about making notes from the newspaper also. So I never made complete notes out of newspaper, because between 2018 to 2019, I used to attend Dipinsar classes for current affairs. And but I used to read newspaper every day, at least for 1 hour in the morning. So if the class is around 10 o'clock, my exam is 7 to 8 exam, 8 to 9 discussion. So 9 to 10 I used to read newspaper before coming to class. So, but I never made notes, but I noted down many unique points from newspaper that I told. All this localization, Vembanad, all these examples, they will come from newspaper only. So if Prime Minister is saying some unique statement about relations between India and Australia, like there is this term with Nepal, Hindi, Chini, by something. So all these type of statements, you can use it in your answer in conclusion with, if there is a question on India-Nepal relations, you can use that in your conclusion. It is an optimistic quote also. So you can use that. We used to get such type of examples from Dipinsar classes also. But I never made notes out of a newspaper. It will take so much of time. So Forum does that hard work for us. They'll release monthly magazines. You can utilize that. So why we have to do extra hard work when we are doing classes? So don't read 2-3 newspapers. One newspaper is enough. Going with 2-3 newspapers it's not the apt time to go with 2-3 newspapers. You won't be understanding half of the things in it with the current stage of preparation that you people are in. So that is it with newspapers. Read articles thoroughly, line to line. Generally, it tends to happen that we lose the interest after reading half of the article. But push yourself. You read good articles related to the syllabus. Only then your vocabulary will develop, your answer writing will develop. You will get very good points. You will write your answers in a structured manner, and you'll also get idea about how to write a good essay if you read more articles. How an article should be introduced, how it should be ended, how to put your content into lines. So read articles in the newspapers, not before 1 or 2 months before prelims, but you can leave reading articles 1 or 2 months before prelims. So you can do that. So and for prelims. So for prelims, I was always skeptical about prelims. In 2019, when I couldn't clear, I felt okay, I was not eligible for this exam or something. I thought my mindset is not in the right direction. Even if I did hard work, I think I can even now say that not 90%, maybe 75% of my whole preparation for this exam, I did it in between 2018 to 19 only. So because I was in such a disciplined manner, my productivity was such that with my class that I did almost 75% of my preparation in the first 1 year only. And only when I did that hard work that is required for this exam and I couldn't clear prelims, so okay, I literally cried. So my brother cleared. I was happy for him. He was writing his mains. I went home, came after 2 months. I went to Shantanu sir. He still had hope on me. He was like, okay, Vasanth, okay, next time you clear prelims, you do optional well. You relate your journey to Akshat Jain. He also couldn't clear his prelims in his first attempt, and he got his. And he says in one of his interview that he treated his failure in his first attempt as a blessing in disguise, because he was not prepared with optional during his first attempt. Even I was not prepared with my optional, so I started taking writing test series. I got extra time from COVID also. I utilized it for writing test series twice for optional, and also for the GS, and wrote more essays in COVID. Sitting here in Delhi, I was here in Delhi with my brother in COVID also, because his interviews got postponed at the time and we had to stay in Delhi at that time. So I asked him, okay, you make a question paper for anthropology, I'll write. So he used to make question paper out of previous year questions, and I used to write. He used to evaluate. So this used to happen once the coaching industries got open. So I joined SFG again here in Forum. So I cleared prelims again with a decent margin that year. So obviously do SFG thoroughly. It will make you cover all the static books thoroughly. You will be completing. Don't leave it in between. I can say it may sound exaggeration, but I wrote all the tests in all the SFGs that I have written, not the SFG 2 of this year, because I had to go to Hyderabad to join NPA. Otherwise, I would have written all those tests. In SFG 1 this year also, I wrote all the tests without leaving any single test. So only when you can think, okay, if I look back, I can say, okay, I did my preparation, my 100%. I never left any one test. So even in 2020, I wrote all the tests. 2019, I wrote all the tests. So whatever you're doing, do it with 100%. If you're not giving 100%, it won't be happening. So that is a thing with prelims. And for prelims also, you can make notes out of some topics. So I used to make notes from the test series. So I used to keep a register. So 20 pages divided for polity, 20 pages for modern history. Whenever I got to know something new from any test series or SFG, I used to note it down in a very small manner. It was like, okay, if there is CPI or WPI is there, okay, I was like CPI, no services, no CPI, there are services, WPI, no services. So GDP deflator, only no imports are included in it. So these one-liners. So if you write all these one-liners in your notes, so obviously they will help you in elimination in the prelims. You will be reading them again before prelims. So obviously obviously you will be eliminating them easily. You are very sure about it then. If you read a big book and you're not, you're reading it, you're understanding it, but if this such factual content or objective terms comes, you'll be like, rather than going into those books, there is this thing of visual memory also. If you remember your test series notes also, so I wrote there, okay, CPI, there are services, WPI, there are no services. So obviously I'll eliminate it with 100% surety. So, and then you can arrive at answer. So that can happen with you making notes from test series. Don't make notes out of Lakshmikant, don't make notes out of Spectrum. That is very big process. It will take years to make it. So concentrate more on static for prelims. So only polity, economy, history, ancient and medieval. I can say that I was not very good, because I had to read so many things in the short span of time from 2018 to 2019 that I couldn't completely understand medieval India or ancient India. I didn't have a proper source. I read Tamil Nadu NCERT at that time, and it was not sufficient for the level of questions that UPSC is asking. So after my prelims 2019, so I analyzed myself. I sat with my brother, I sat with Ayush sir, Shantanu sir. So I analyzed my paper. I told them, sir, I'm doing good in polity and economy, but in modern history, ancient history, medieval history, art and culture, most of the questions were wrong in that part. So he was like, yeah, in polity and economy, they are okay. Everybody who does SFG, they'll do good in them, but you had to be very thorough. You had to do more and more revisions for ancient. You have to be strong in ancient and medieval. So I asked Shantanu sir. So he told me, okay, we are making good book for ancient and medieval, so you can use that. So I waited for some time. He gave me those books, and they were too good. You all must be having those books for ancient and medieval. So you will get them. So it is there. So I read them. They are very good books. They are given in such a lucid manner. and reading NCERTs for ancient and medieval is always confusing, because they are not given in a chronology manner. So you'll be reading them, but you don't know when it is happening. Now I can say the complete chronology by seeing the index of that forum book. So there is IVC, early Vedic, later Vedic, Mahajanpadas, Jainism, Buddhism, Gupta age, Mauryan age, and all these things. If you remember that chronology well, you will obviously eliminate so many options. So if you are strong in ancient, medieval, and art and culture, as much as you are strong in polity and economy, your game is done. You will be doing good in your prelims. And don't bother too much about current affairs, because you cannot chase current affairs. They'll be completely asking from somewhere. So I still remember I used to read two sources for current affairs in my first attempt. One is Forum and another is you know what. So from 2020 prelims, I read only one source for my current affairs. So because I got to know, even my brother had that experience. He wrote 4 prelims by the time. He told me, don't chase current affairs, chase static, be strong in static. If you're whenever you're writing a full length test, if you're getting around 65 questions correct, 35 questions wrong, and you see what questions in 65 questions you are marking them correct. Only if you are doing good in static, you can think that okay, you are doing it. You will be doing good in the main exam also. If you are doing good in current affairs in those 65 questions, and your 35 questions are more of static, then it's not. It won't be you in a final exam. You will fail. So it happens because most of the questions from test series will be from their own source of current affairs, and someone who has read that current affairs source will be automatically scoring good. But people, they think that okay, I am scoring 100 plus in the sum of some test series, I can clear. But you analyze the paper. Only if you are doing good in static, you shouldn't make questions wrong in economy, polity, history especially, because they are all in our hands, right? So yeah, it happens. And for prelims, I think there is this sense of, people say generally that common sense is the most important thing. You always have to keep your common sense turned on. Your mind will be sleepy sometimes. You have a coffee in the morning and then you'll be okay. So, writing tests, everyday tests. So sometimes even you can practice turning on your common sense every day while writing this test. You have to be very vigilant. You have to be alert. So two statements can be contradictory at the same time. Sometimes it tends to happen that we'll be thinking of something else and we'll be solving. So we miss that, okay, the definitions of two terms have been interchanged from 1 and 2. So all these things, okay, you can say, you can read. So whenever such two statement questions comes, if you solve previous year questions, you will have that idea that, okay, sometimes UPSC also twists the definitions of two options. So you try putting that definition of the first option in for the second statement, which one is suiting well. So all these things comes under common sense. So yeah, common sense is the most important thing. This consistently decreasing, consistently increasing, all these things you can eliminate only with the common sense. And you have to maintain that common sense throughout the preparation. Even for the mains, it is important. So the way that I told, okay, I'll go by chronology. So that is common sense. It is like, okay, obviously you'll generate more points if you go by chronology or various groups in our society. So for GS2, you will be like expecting questions is also common sense. So there is this question on mangroves, coral reefs every year, and there is this question of degradation of wetlands, or there is question of degradation of coral reefs 1 year. So what is going in the test series more? I think I remember I had a conversation with my brother in one during lunch or sometime during my mains. So he asked me, okay, what question can come this time? So I was like, I am seeing this land desertification question more in the test series, and it may come, and it really came. This is not exaggeration. This came out of my 100 of conversations, and this one got correct. I expected many other questions and they didn't come. But out of 40-50 questions, I expected at least 10 to 12 questions came in the exam, and they are from the syllabus only. So this land desertification came, and he said, yeah, it can come. So let's, okay, where is that in the test series? Let's take that paper. And we try to by heart the definition of land degradation neutrality. It is very important term. So that is very complex definition also. We try to by heart that, and then we wrote all these examples of, there is this example of great Indian wall or something, Great Green Wall that India is planning to construct. So we wrote that example. So all these unique points we have to, so we prepared them. So we try to dump them in the main exam, and it fetched us marks. So both my brother and I got very good marks in GS. this year. Even it is my first attempt, I got scores equal to him, even if he wrote 2 mains, and it is because of the preparation that we did together. We expected questions, we prepared them, we by hearted them. For example, EIA amendments are there, so we tried to by heart all those 7 amendments in it, because the question is, we expected if it comes, we had to write those 7 points. If NEP is there, so there are 4 we try to remember 4 provisions for primary education, 4 provisions for secondary, 4 for higher education, and for critical examination 4 points. So we had 16 points, and the question came twice in GS2 and ethics, so we dumped them. So this is how we had to plan our preparation for this year. This common sense is the thing. So we had to use that everywhere till the interview stage also. And for that, you have to keep it on every time. I think I went to some juice shop 2-3 days back. There was one girl, so she came to drink sugarcane juice, and she's saying, "Bhaiya, sugar mat dalna isme." So everybody was laughing here. So we were like, okay, she came to drink sugarcane juice, and she's telling him, "Don't put sugar in it," and he's like, she's thinking of something else rather than being there. So we have to, in exam also, we have to be like that. If you are thinking of something else and writing exam, or you are not applying your 100% mind, so the only then you can be sure you can complete your paper in time. You can be sure of clearing that exam within the prescribed time, going through 100 questions in that time. So yeah, that's it. I'll be open to doubts now if you have anything. I hope it sounded good. So I'll be open to doubts if you have any. And yeah. Yeah. Yes. Mistakes in the sense I was not confident about my preparation. I was confident about myself. It used to happen in such a way that so there is this one question in test series here is different. Writing a full length test here is different, and writing exam there is different. And you all must keep it in mind that here, whenever I was writing a simulator or something, so if I arrive at some answer, I'll be like, okay, and I'll be bubbling it. So in the main exam, even if I arrive at an answer, I'll be thinking twice or thrice before marking it on the paper. I'll be reading this question again. I'll be like, even if I'm not 100%, even if I'm 99% sure, I'll not be bubbling it in the paper, because that main exam pressure is different. So okay, marked it with some pencil and I left it. So here in simulator, I used to mark at least 40 to 50 questions in my first round. So there in exam, I used to mark on 22, 23 in my first round. And in the next 1 hour, around 77 questions came to my hand, and I had to read all those 77 questions again, line to line, so that I can clear. So 77 questions again in 60 minutes. It's like a different pressure on us in that time. So here, if I mark this in last moment, I'll apply some other logic. I'll think, okay, I'm thinking wrong, so I'll cancel this and I'll put this and I'll mark it, and ultimately this becomes the right answer. So I did not believe in my intuition at that time. I was not confident about my own preparation. I was thinking, itna easy question to nahi aayega. So this cannot be answer. How can I arrive at such an answer? How can I arrive at answer such quickly? So these are some type of mistakes. Herein I am attempting more than 90 plus questions in my simulator at the time. So there I think 82 or 79 something in this range I attempted. So ultimately I think that year cutoff was something around 98. I got 91 or something. So that happened. But yeah, I kept this 90 marks as my motivation for the next attempt. So I thought, okay, only 4 questions left. Next time, if I can at least make 5 or 6 questions correct, I can clear this. And you can do that. And this was a mistake that I did in my first attempt. And also I'm not saying only about the way I attempt paper, there are lacunae in my preparation also. I told you that I was not strong in ancient medieval. I don't have clear understanding about the chronology, who came first, who came later, what are the policies of them. So there were lacunae also. And there was this whole lacunae in understanding of some subjects. Only with good understanding you can do that. So polity requires good understanding. If you cannot easily mark an answer for a concept of state question without understanding the exact, you cannot exactly mark the definition of state correct without understanding the concept of state. So this is there. So understanding part is very important. If you read too much of content in a short span of time, it takes so much of effort to understand them also at the same time. You'll try to, with the pressure we have, with the environment that that is created around us, we try to by heart things sometimes. So try reducing the by hearting part and try to understand more things. You will be doing good in that. You watch a video, if you don't understand something, you ask some faculty. If there is this concept of inflation, everybody can understand if they are, if somebody explains them well. So if you are not understanding the concept of inflation, you go to the economics faculty you have. If you even then you are not understanding, you go watch some YouTube video. YouTube is there. So once you understand the option, you can eliminate the options. There is all this in inflation and its relation with interest rates, its relation with bond price, bond yields. If you can understand this once, and you will be doing it whatever attempt it is yours. So once you get through that concept, so this is there in polity also. There is this conceptual part, fundamental rights, DPSP. So they'll okay. This question is there in previous year questions also. So they will give okay, DPSPs are limitations upon. So executive, legislative, and judiciary. So 1, 2, 3. So what is the answer for this? So DPSPs are limitations upon. So the answer for this is none of the above. They are not limitations at all. They are directions. So this we can understand only if we know the concept of DPSP. Because DPSPs are directives. They are not they don't limit the state. Rather, they'll make the state provide something to the people. Fundamental rights are the limitations. So only if we read question thoroughly, we can. Only if we can understand the concept thoroughly, we can do that well. So this is how we have to understand. You go through NCRTs first, then you go to standard book. Even then, if you're not understanding, you ask some faculty, then you will automatically understand. And we have to put that effort to understand. It's not like someone will make it easy for us. We have to make it easy for us by ourselves. Hi. For mains, right? Yeah, for mains it is like you already have an A4 sheet for the topic mentioned in the syllabus. So for example, you have this topic of governance, e-governance is there. So you have already made a notes for it. So you have already kept a A4 sheet separately for it, e-governance. So you are writing some points in it. So from Dipin sir's class, you are getting 2-3 new examples. So there is this Bhumi project of Karnataka. So you got it from Dipin sir's class. You add it in initiatives. So whatever points you are getting newly, even if you are reading some monthly, you have some new examples in that. You added it here. If there is some new, so what is it called? India enterprise architecture is there. So you add it here. If you are getting it from some current affairs source, if from Dipin sir's class, you are getting everything, you have to consolidate it in very short format. You don't have to explain it. You read it thoroughly here in the book itself, but you add the dimension here. While reading at the end of before mains, you will automatically remember. If not remember, you refer this from here again. But you don't write all the content here, and it will become double burden for you. So keep a one-page notes, add it everything to that. That I got to know after some point of time. Initially, I made notes for world history of full notebook, which I never read. I left it. I never read world history for mains also, because questions were not coming at that time. So we have to be a bit smart, because if it is done before prelims, it will be good for you, because after prelims, you will be writing test series immediately. So reading these notes and writing test series will be a very good exercise, because you cannot do both notes making, writing test series, reading the solutions of it, and writing optional test series. It will be like you cannot divide your time properly. So once I'm not saying that you should be in my situation of failing prelims in your first attempt, but after I failed my prelims in my first attempt, I made all these notes. I didn't, for optional. For GS, I made for some topics I didn't before prelims. But I was not 100% ready with my GS notes also before prelims. So, but I'm telling you what that was a mistake I committed, but I am telling you people not to do that. So now I think is not the time. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Polity. Uh, hmm. 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 No, it's like you have to add the broad dimensions of anything. See, I'll be telling you in such a way that if there is this, if in polity, there is this arbitration bill going on. So it is in the news. You read that every day. You don't make notes out of it. When it becomes an act by the time of your mains, you will automatically read it in the current affairs. You don't add it in the notes by the time it get passed. So if there is something regarding a new, but if there is a social stock exchange is there, so it is very important as an example in the NGOs. It is not a standalone. It cannot be a standalone question. Generally, it can come, but it is not a standalone question. So you can add it in the NGOs. There is this funding deficit for NGOs. You can use the social stock exchange here as an example. You can. That's it. You added the point in the notes. If it comes again in the newspaper next day about social stock exchange, you read about it, but you don't have to go into the technicalities of the. You don't have to write here. You read about it, but you don't write it here. It will come in the some current affairs compilation in the end about detail. Okay, what are the provisions of it again? So then you will remember it again. So if it comes as a standalone question, automatically you read it for so long, so you will write good points for it, and you are reading it again before your mains. But you know that what is a broad thing for in the syllabus for a social stock exchange is the NGOs. So whenever NGO comes, you have to keep that point. If you're not keeping it, then it's crime. Even if you wrote average answer for this, it's okay, but the topic mentioned in the syllabus, you have to write good answer from the current affairs. So you'll be getting there will be articles if there is Russia Ukraine war. You read it every day, you understand it, what's going on. Don't make notes out of it. At the end, it will come. But whenever there is this, there is in syllabus there is this efforts of developed countries and developing countries on the India's interest. So you know where you have to keep it. Okay, this question might come here. So if you have notes for it, you can keep there. Okay, you read about Russia Ukraine war in the last. Okay, and you have any only new points there, you can write it in the short form. So that is how you have to do. You cannot make notes. You cannot add every day. I say I used to add. So this globalization I added this week. So next week I may add that Vemanad Lake example. So it's not, there is no mandatory thing that you have to add something into your notes every day. It's not mandatory. Some things you try to understand. Some things you feel okay, this is important. So. Hmm. Yeah, keep A4 sheets. It will be better. Yeah. I used to punch my A4 sheet here and used to tie thread. So keep on adding papers. So 4 5 pages for e-governance. So I used to write in big letters, and so it used to be 4 5 pages. But yeah, any other? Yeah. For anthropology, so I read some books like Ember, uh, Pnath, and you take any other coaching institute notes. I have my brother at the time, he made some notes for it. I took his notes also. I had that privilege at the time. So we both prepared together. I used to, whenever I had any doubt, I asked him. So there was this Karandeep sir in ForumIAS at the time. So I used to go to him at the time. So and in lockdown, I wrote more tests of it. So but my option score was average. I got 260, 258 something. But it's okay. It's average score that year. It's not less also. But yeah, writing more contemporary examples is the thing in the optional that I got to know this time. So I'm writing more contemporary examples, case studies, and contemporary relevance. These are all the dimensions that should be there in your answer. Contemporary relevance in the sense that whenever there is this cultural relativism, obviously question comes on it. So you relate it to whatever is going. The racism is going. Racism is the best example for cultural relativism. So West thinking they are superior. So you can write it there. So these type of examples you can add from contemporary angle. So writing more tests and having a proper structure, and content is important for it. Obviously, content is the main thing for optional. So you make proper notes for it. I mean, each detailed notes for each and every topics for my optional, my own in my own handwriting. Even even I had my brother's notes, but I made my own notes, because only when you make your own notes you will be reciprocating in the paper. So that is important, because you'll develop that muscle and visual memory at the same point of time while making your notes. So whenever there is a question on cultural relativism, I can see the definition of someone. So what are the examples that I have? I will get that visual memory. I'll be automatically writing in such a short span of time. You have to write it in a short span of time. So that is make notes out of it. No, rather than going all through all these academic books, you read one Ember for understanding. Ember also, you don't have to read all the textbooks, all the chapters, only which relate to the syllabus. And apart from it, if you know this biological, and I used to feel I was weak in biological anthropology, because I never had touch out of all this DNA replication on things. So I used to watch videos out of it. And whenever there was this time, so I before mains there was this. There were some topics of twin studies, foster child, all these things. Some things I can understand, some things I couldn't understand, so I tried by hearting them. So that is there. By hearting is there in for optional. Sometimes you have to by heart some things. You can understand some part of it. If there is this DNA replication, so you know that it is useful for this. DNA fingerprinting is useful for the identification of persons and all these things. But if you go into the technicalities of it, it will take so much of time for you to understand. You put one diagram for it. Okay, DNA, it is separated for two pieces, single piece. It is put on some paper. It is some rays are passed on to it. So automatically you'll be writing those points there. You don't have to explain them there. So write more. So they'll look for you. You write DNA. If there is question on DNA fingerprinting, you write what is it, is some diagram, and then you write applications. You'll fetch more marks if you write these points well. Application and contemporary understanding. There are so many crimes going on in our country. So many people missing in our country. So something beggary is there. All these things you can find their relatives. All these things, crime rates. So those type of points will fetch you more marks than writing all these technicalities and diagrams. You can never be sure unless you are from biology background or something. So that is there, that I should do. And read more, you can add examples from newspaper. There are some compilations in the market who take our effort in compiling examples for anthropology also from current affairs. So you can use them. For example, tribals. So there will be so many schemes. You go to the tribal ministry website, you will be getting, I got so many examples of, so all these Annamaya initiative, tribal TB initiative, tri-fed, tri-food. So many examples you will get from Googling and tribal websites. Time. That is the most important thing. So Acha. So I think only you have to write at least 19 questions, and then only you will be in the game. What I think now is going on, because people are writing it. People are writing all the 20 questions now. They are putting that effort. They are using their hands in such a way that they are writing it. So when I started writing 20 questions test for the first time, we'll write 2 questions here or 3 questions here in the daily test. But writing 20 questions is different. So that too, writing it in the morning and the afternoon is completely different. So we used to practice. So in 2020, everything, when I was writing my mains, everything was online because of this COVID and all. So we had to we were in Delhi, but still we had to send papers to forum by scanning only. So what used to happen is, okay, we don't have this test center kind of thing. So I had to write along with my brother. So we both kept some days. So, okay, tomorrow we'll be writing essay in the morning, and next day after this was our mains was on Jan 8th, 2021. started something around this. So December 20, we started it from December 22 essay, December 23 GS1 and 2. So we'll be like keeping 3 hours and 3 hours. We both sitting on the same table, on a dining table or something. We started writing. So we divided. So okay, whatever I got to know from my brother or from Shantanu sir or Ayush sir is that we had to divide time equally, and many people doesn't do. They take questions to their, they think that okay, I know this question better than this. So what fetched us more marks this time is that we wrote same type of answers for almost all the questions. I can't say this answer is better and this answer is the worst. Every question is like, even if I don't know a single thing about it. So for example, there is this National Clean Air Program in GS3. They asked me about the provisions. What are the provisions of NCAP and what are the improvements needed or something? Question is like that. So I know only about 2-3 points. Okay, PM2, PM2.5 that I know about, that I read about it during prelims, because they used to give all these options during prelims questions. Okay, what are the, so it includes only PM2 and PM2.5 and PM10. It is all India program. All these statements were there during prelims preparation. So I remember only these 3. So I wrote all these 3 points, but that is not enough for a 15 marker. So I wrote whatever I know about pollution and everything, national clean air. So I wrote about, it tries to address stubble burning around the NCR region. So this is one of my point. So it tries to inculcate people also into the program. I don't know whether, but this is such a generic point that I wrote there. So and I wrote 6-7 points like this. So it also takes help from the National Air Quality Index and National Ambient Air Quality Index. I don't know. It might be taking or might not be taking, but they cannot go into the technicalities and check it, because this is my 6th or 7th point. So 6 or 7 points. And then I wrote improvements needed. So I'll be saying like it measures only PM2 and PM2.5, but it needs to add more pollutants to it. This point is here. I made this point again here, and I wrote this point again. So this will develop this art of writing more points within short span of time. Will develop only if you write more tests. So for that, I divide my time into, okay, for this 180 minutes can be divided. For 15 markers, you have to give 11 minutes. For 10 markers, 7 minutes. And only if you follow this thoroughly through your exam, you will be doing 20 questions. And I couldn't do it in my first test that I wrote on 23rd on the morning. I could do only 19 questions on the afternoon. On next day, in both the papers, I could complete the paper, because I know where to stop, when to stop, where I can. So if by that 6th minute starts, I stopped writing points. I decided, okay, now I have to write a good conclusion, because if you write conclusion in 10-20 seconds, you won't be writing good conclusion. So by 6th minute, I'll be stopping. Okay, I'll be writing conclusion. I'll be thinking of a good conclusion, and I'll be writing conclusion in 1 minute. So giving more weightage to conclusion. So by 7th minute, this question is done, and immediately go to the next question. And while writing these body points, you can have a glance at the next question also, so that you will understand. You automatically, after seeing that questions, the points will come into your mind slowly. So by the time you start an intro, and then by the time you're writing intro, you'll be getting points for the body. While writing your body, you can think of conclusion. So you'll be done with in 7 minutes. So, but you have to divide. You have to follow these 7 minutes. But it is very difficult to sustain these 7 minutes. You can write first 5 questions properly. First 5 questions in very neat manner, very good handwriting and structure. But if you're not following this time limit, you will be hurrying up in the last 4 questions, and your paper look clumsy in the end. And that makes the examiner looks like even there are good questions in the end that you won't be writing good answers for it if you are rushing in it. So you try maintaining the time limit for each and every question, be it difficult question or easy question. You try writing whatever you know about it, because ultimately what philosophy I had kept with myself is that, okay, I had nothing to lose now. Whatever I had read till now, I'll be like dumping in the paper. So obviously it helps you in, okay, I completed the paper. I don't have anything that I know. Later I felt, okay, I didn't write it in the paper. I dumped whatever I know about the topic in the paper. And only when you do that, you will be feeling satisfied with your attempt. okay, I had nothing left in me, and I had nothing to lose also now. So I gave everything 100% of mine in the paper. So that you can do only if you follow the time limit, and it takes practice to follow that. You write more tests, full length tests after prelims. You don't write 20, no, 20, writing 20 markers, 20 questions before prelims you can write. But again, when you are into this prelims preparation for 2-3 months, you will slowly lose that knack again. So you can do that after prelims. Now try developing yourself, writing good answers, that art of generating points, and writing more good examples, collecting good examples. You do that before prelims. Don't worry about writing 20 questions now itself. You will automatically, in that exam atmosphere, with the pressure that the exam creates, you will write it there. So that is there. So now concentrate more on developing your answer writing skills, structure, presentation. Some people, even if they write good content, it won't be looking good on the paper. Examiner don't know that he's addressing the question. The person writing may think, okay, I did it well, but it's not the same. Only when you make it look good for the examiner. I changed my answer writing in such a way that earlier my 10 marker answer was like, okay, I'll be like writing like this: introduction, body, and my conclusion. So I wrote only 1 page out of it. So then I went to Asif sir and Shantanu sir at that time. So they said, your letters are very small, increase the size of it. So I said, okay, I increased. So then it went to the 2nd page till here. So with the reading, with more and more reading, I developed a bit more content. So it used to go till here. So if I increase my letter size between the words, putting side headings, writing in the points, all these things, you will develop it slowly. Only if you put the effort and approach people. Someone won't come and make you write. We have to approach people. They will tell you what's going wrong in your paper. Increasing the word size is one good thing for people who have small handwriting. So this is there. Some people write cursive handwriting. Some people may not understand the cursive handwriting, so they can also make it less cursive. So they can change the way they write. So this happens. My handwriting used to be like, earlier I used to like, okay, if there is Vasanth, I will like. So I used to write like the Vasanth, but in main exam I decided, okay. So I changed I increased my word size till like this. So now it is legible. I increase gap between a word and word. If there is Kumar, I will like, okay. So now I was like, okay, I'll write each and every letter with, okay, now this is more legible than this. So this used to happen. So any other thing? Yeah. Ultimately, what happens is that you won't be getting questions from the books mostly. About the UPSC current affairs sources are completely, it may ask anything under the sun that people say. So if you go on chasing the current affairs, if there is a question on something regarding, if there is Olympics is there, they asked about what are the sports included in it. Nobody expected that question. So just because that question came this year, you cannot go and read all the Olympics, Winter Olympics games, Commonwealth games, tennis, everything. You cannot read all those things. That question came, but you had to concentrate more on the static part. You can do that only if you feel, okay, you are doing more than 90% with more than 90% accuracy in the static part. If you are not doing that, then chasing current affairs is the thing. Because I had many friends who they were like reading 2-3 sources from the current affairs. But ultimately questions, they admitted after their attempt that none of the questions from those books. Rather, they made wrong in the static also, and current affairs also gone. The complete exam is gone. So the main thing, the low-hanging fruit is the static. So for current affairs, we have to fly. So we don't have to do that. Keep any one good source, comprehensive source, and read it every time. 2 times or 3 times, that's it, before your prelims. So yeah, understand the current affairs, don't by heart them. We can, if you see the previous year questions, you can easily understand what type of questions. If there is any amendment, they can ask if there are any new rules, like If suppose there is question on e-waste management rules in 1 year, now they have brought some policy about solar waste management, if at all they have brought. They didn't bring it, but if at all it is there, so you have to reboot because e-waste rules came once, so you can identify the areas where questions can come. But if you cannot chase some questions like the thing I said about Olympics or Tiger Woods award, something they have given, you cannot chase them. They won't be given in any magazine also, or you cannot Google about them completely to be strong in them. How many? Those are all factual questions. So it is there. See, I did NCRTs at the start of my preparation for 1.5 months. I for polity, economy, geography, and everything. And then I left them. After reading once, I underlined some of the important points that I felt in that, and I kept them apart. And I'm reading standard books. Again, by the time how it used to be is like in SFG, there used to be secondary sources used to be NCRTs. So after reading Lakshmikant, I used to read NCRT whatever I have highlighted again. So even now, when doing SFG1 was completely with NCRTs, I read it again, line to line. So because I had time, so I read the NCRTs again, line to line. So it's like NCRTs, you can read it. It's after some point of time. At some point of time, you feel that okay, you are a bit, your preparation is in the low. You're not thinking correctly. Somewhere the concept is lacking. So go to the NCRTs again. No, when I started this preparation, I came from sixth standard to yeah, yeah, for everything. Because at that time I think I came here in the June, but my college got it ended in March. April, May I read NCRT sitting at home, and after reading some NCRTs I came here. So because the forum, I got to know that forums course will start in June, so I had to be at home and I read these NCRTs. But even after coming here, I had to read those NCRTs. During SFG, obviously, you will be reading, you will be having much time. At that time, my aim was to first clear prelims. So obviously, I gave all my time to prelims mostly, and mains happened parallelly. Without knowingly, I made notes for mains. I haven't kept separate time. Whenever I got time, I used to update my notes. Whenever I was sitting in Dipin sir's class, if I got new point, I'll be writing it in the sir's handout only after going to the room, or next time if I'm getting, we'll be having so much of time. There is never a paucity of time. It is like how we utilize it. So we can do masti here also. There used to be a chai shop here in the ALS building. We used to go there at that time. But after some point of time, I felt that I'm going for tea for 1 hour, and that's not the thing that should happen. So we had to cut out the time. So I used to deny people, learn to say no. So obviously you lose friends. Losing friends is the thing in this exam. People will go away. People will come. So many things happen. So ultimately, why we have come here, why I have crossed so many states from Andhra to Delhi here, is to okay for this exam. So it is there. Yeah. Any other thing? Yeah. Ethics is like you do one, you do classes, you'll be understanding the terminology which is there in the syllabus. And then for ethics, you have to keep your mind very open. You have to think. Thinking is the main thing in ethics. It's like you cannot read some provisions of it and dump in the paper. It's not the type of thing. You have to generate points of your own, and you can generate only if you understand the syllabus very thoroughly. So I'll tell you, I used to do classes here. I read lexicon, but I felt I'm not writing good answers. And then for 2020, after prelims, I tried writing answers. I was not happy with my answers. So this ForumIAS Red book, you all must be knowing, for ethics, that came. So I read it thoroughly for 2 months, and it helped me a lot, especially for the theory part. I wrote such good answers that sometimes, obviously, forum solutions will also be from Red book only. So sometimes I used to find the same points in the solutions and my answers. So that used to be my, okay, I'm going in the right direction. If there is this question of Jainism's Shadavada or something, the truth is multiple, truth is not singular thing. There is multiple interpretations of a truth. So at the time I read in some newspaper or something that, okay, Trump is saying that climate change is hoax, but IPCC is saying something. So I got to know that example that is there in the solution also. I felt, okay, I wrote very good. I'm thinking in the right direction at least. So So ethics is like you have to be open, you have to inculcate so many examples, so many personal examples. Even if you encounter anyone, so anyone in your personal life, you have to write it. So what is this example? So I'll tell you one good example that I wrote in the mains is that came out of my natural newspaper reading or open thinking. Is that there is this quote by Swami Vivekananda in 2020 mains that when someone is doing some good thing, let them do. Don't comment or criticize on them. If you don't want to do, you don't do. This is a summary of the quote that they have given. So I was thinking about the examples. Then I got to know about you must be remembering about this Baba Ka Daba during the COVID time. So I got to know about many people criticized him that he laundered some money. He took some money from him. He didn't give the complete money. I kept it there. Recently, this Baba Ka Daba example, many people, they are not helping. At the same point, they are criticizing that person who came out to help. So I felt, okay, that can be the contemporary good example. So we have to write more and more contemporary examples. Some points will come then and there. Some points you will prepare from this ForumIAS Red book. But it depends on the questions, because these days questions were not, this year questions came from syllabus directly, theory part. But 2020, most of the questions were like generic. They were like importance of Buddhism in the contemporary times. So they gave so many quotes. They gave, okay, how national education policy will develop the rational thinking in the students. So this we have to write more and more answers. You will generate more and more contemporary examples. So that what the scheme of education that I told that I wrote in the ethics also. So national education policy 2020. So it resembles the Varda scheme of Gandhiji, and it makes learning through working or something is the theme of Varda scheme of education. Learning through skills or something. So that is there. So you have to write more examples, be open. Case studies and ethics, the one important thing is I prepared well, I couldn't score well because I couldn't manage time there. Because the questions were such that I spent 10 minutes more than prescribed. Generally we divide ethics 1.5 hours for theory, 1.5 hours for case studies. So I started with theory part. Generally I used to start with case studies, but in main exam I started with theory part. So 1.5 I took 1 hour, 10 minutes, 1.5 hour plus 10 minutes extra. So my 10 minutes for case studies got compromised, and in 2020 the case study question was on 1.5 page. So on seeing that only I got anxious, and but I tried writing every case study in 10-12 minutes. The quality got compromised. So that was one mistake that I did in mains and in my ethics. So we should manage time. Managing time is the utmost important thing. Even I practiced it before, but in the main exam I flunked. So that is there. We have to this preparation. My brother used to say that preparation is the one thing, execution is the main thing. Whatever you prepare, only if you execute it on the paper, you will get the results. So time management for ethics is the utmost important thing, especially for the case studies. And you will write better case studies within 15 minutes, only if you practice more case studies. Collect good examples for the theory part, and write more questions for theory part also. But write more answers for case studies. You cannot read any one source. You have to write. Only if you write, you will say, these are the steps I will take. They are all your personal steps that you are going to take in your future, right? So that is it. You have to write more and more answers for case studies. I think you will be having tests for ethics also here. You will be having 2-3 full-length tests in MGP. So you will do good. Anything else? So there are some questions here. Do you have to address it through the camera only? Okay. So how to sustain the discipline and good habits for the preparation? So I told you already about that. No person can be completely internally motivated throughout the preparation. You have to sit in such a environment where everything is conducive for you, and only then you will be in discipline. So I used to do that. So I used to live with my brother. So he used to tell me that if I see you after 7 o'clock in the morning, I'll be like locking my door. So he used to send me out of the room by 7 o'clock in the morning, because he wants to start his preparation by 7 o'clock in the morning. So by 7 o'clock I used to 6:30, 7 o'clock I used to come here, 7 o'clock there used to be test. So obviously if you are lost in that schedule, you will be automatically finding the discipline. And if you are doing some class and you have created some self schedule, so I'll be like, I'll do class and I'll read 2-3 chapters of Spectrum today. I'll be doing class, I'll be having lunch, and I'll be sitting to complete this. If I have time, I'll evening we used to have dip insert classes, I used to attend it. So by night I'll automatically will sleep after spending so much of time. If you are physically exhausted in the day, you'll automatically get good sleep and you'll wake up again early in the morning. It will become a schedule for you and you can sustain that discipline. And for the good habits for the preparation, no, there are no such things as good habits for the preparation. Be the person you are and you just have to read books, write tests, that's it. That is there. And this is the only doubt, sir. What? Discussion is important only if it is productive. Because it happens with people. It is very difficult to find the people who are in sync with you. And you cannot go and discuss with someone else. Only person who is serious. You have to filter out people. But it depends from the person to person. I was okay with my own speed. Some people read fast, some people read slow. Some people take time to understand, some people can't. You cannot sit and make other person understand for 2 hours and you are wasting your time if he is taking 2 hours and that concept requires only half an hour of understanding. It's not about cutting out completely people, cutting out the people completely. It's about you using your own time judiciously. You have to be answerable to yourself. Discussion, some people used to do. They did well, they cleared prelims again and again. They used to read in a group sitting here in the class. It depends from person to person. If you are okay with one other person, it's good. For example, it helped me during my mains with my brother because he was very serious. He wants to clear this exam at any cost at that time. He gave 2 interviews before. So after seeing him, he used to put so much effort than me putting in my initial attempts. So that used to inspire me, like, okay, he was maintaining that motivation in his 4th or 5th attempt. I felt I had to do more. Every day I had to do more. So that is there. You have to find that right partner, and that is there. Discussion is good. For mains, it is good. You will remember things easily. You can put them on paper easily. If I and my brother were discussing some topic regarding this Vemanad Lake or some urbanization, Miyawaki method or something, or automatically whenever that question comes, our preparation was in such a sync that we wrote same essays unknowingly, we wrote same questions in optional unknowingly. So we felt that after our mains, that over the 3 months we prepared in such a way that our preparation was in complete sync. So that is there. No. I watched news analysis only during the interview stage. So before that, we'll be having classes, we'll be having dip insert classes. There is no need for that. And discussion videos or what? Current affairs newspaper. No, only reading newspaper will be the better option than that. Only if you don't understand, you ask some other person. Even then, if you're not understanding something from newspaper, you watch only that part from the video. Reading newspaper is like, it's not only for generating knowledge. It's like developing the vocabulary, how to write answers, how to present words on the paper. So there are several other things from the newspaper than the knowledge part. So read newspaper on your own, understand it on your own. So even I struggled with my initial readings with all my vocabulary and everything, but slowly I got improved a bit. So it is there, it will be. Any monthly magazine from the market that you find good, anything. There is no one prescribed thing. Acha. So this mental health topic is going around. So how to maintain mental health throughout the process. At one point I was feeling quite down, which led to the lack of confidence. Yes, it is there. So, make things simple and easy for you. Personally, I was privileged that I don't have any pressure from my family in my initial attempts, but it is not the same case with every person. Some people have that external pressure also. So what we can do is that, all we have to do is to we have to be completely lost in this preparation. We have to read so many books. If you pack your schedule in such a way that you don't even have the half an hour to spend on social media or something, you will automatically use your time, and there is no such thing of bogging about this mental health or feeling low on confidence. If you are really working hard on a day, and if you are getting good results or good score in the next day paper, there is no need for you feeling lack of confidence. Only if you're not working, then you're not getting results. So work hard, automatically you will get the results, and there is no such discussion of mental health at all. So it will be there. There will be external pressures. You keep all the shit. I went to Geo phone during my main stage. I left my phone because I used to spend some decent amount of time scrolling all through the memes and everything. So it was there because I came out of college. So obviously at that age people do. But my brother never had such habit. After seeing him, he didn't even have a social media account. I was like, okay, he came from different generation or something. But later I got to know that is how you have to be. So there is this 4 years gap between both of us. So when he came, there is no this Instagram or all these things. So but in our college it used to be there. It is very difficult to leave that. But after clearing prelims, I felt okay, now it is the time, because I got that habit from COVID. In COVID, there is so much of time. I spent at least 1 hour, in social media, watching some videos, memes, and everything. So it's not like, we have to know when to stop anything and when to, So if we are aware about ourselves, if we are really wasting our time, we have to be aware that we are wasting time. Only then you will be stopped. If you are spending every day, we are postponing, procrastinating the thing, so it won't be happening. And this mental health is the thing. I saw my own brother suffering. We both had many sleepless nights. We still, after getting selected, we used to, whenever we had a call, we used to think that, okay, do you remember those sleepless nights we had? Do you remember how our condition was that at that time? So it happened, but it's like we both used to, okay, you talk to your parents. They will never demotivate you. They will say, "Achhe se karo," but we have to do it good here. So only when we do it good, work hard. So I told you, even for the first day I sat there, I was not talking to any person. So I had a friend called Mehraj Khan from Kashmir. So he came, he knows Urdu. I don't know Hindi. But after 4 or 5 days, there is some type of communication that I could communicate him with very well in such a way, in some Hindi or some butler Hindi. But some other persons who know Hindi couldn't understand him. So people are like, I couldn't understand him, how can you understand? I was like, if there is this, if you intend to communicate with people, you will automatically. So I made so many friends from northern part of India, from Delhi, UP. All my roommates were from Rajasthan. I never kept my circle close to my linguistic states. Only then you will be developing. It's not like I did it intentionally. It happened for my own cause, own good. Yeah, it is good. We have to, I changed my place day after day. I became confident slowly. I read books. Whenever Sari is asking any question, I used to answer from here. So starting, people used to think that, this person is like, okay, he wants to do this show off or something. He wants to say answer to every question. Whatever people may think, they may think, but I was not the same person before. If I am the same person right from the start, it's not like that. From coming from there to here, I made so many changes to my personality, developed that confidence. I opened up, I talked in English, I talked in Hindi. I want to involve in some other groups also in the class. I used to talk with each and every person. I befriended everyone. So only then your personality, your talking skills, your communication skills, your confidence will develop. You sit in some other corner, you come and go. There is no, only if you make good friends, you will be having that, okay, I'll go to class, I'll sit with them. We'll be listening to class together. Sometimes sir make jokes or something, you can make jokes. So, the happy atmosphere will always be there. If you are sitting alone in some class in the corner, going away after class, the life will be very low. It's not a happy thing to do. Okay. Yeah. So, whenever I used to read some new thing, so I'll be like, I won't be underlining it in the first instance. So I'll be using some pen. I'll be like, okay. I try to understand it. So I'll be like thinking, okay, this is the question, this is the topic that I can write with understanding, or do I have to by heart it? So if there is Consumer Protection Act, there are 8 provisions in it. I'll be reading it, understanding it. So what are the various rights that are protected by it? I'll be understanding it. I don't want to by heart it now, but I'll be okay. I'm writing it. Okay, you read it again twice before mains. So then there is this. There are some things to understand. So this the same example I'll use. The localization is something that if you understand, you can obviously keep it in mind. I'll read it only once. So localization, if this short topic is there, so I'll add it in my notes and I'll be like striking or writing it. Don't read it again, DNR or something. So I'll be when a second revision, I'll be like by hearting it again. That's it. So this is it. It's not like that. I used to read. My preparation went a bit clumsy. This preparation goes a bit clumsy for every person. Clumsy in the sense you cannot plan a revision strategy now. You can plan a revision strategy only in the last month of any exam, even before prelims or even before mains. Then you will be putting all the sources. So for globalization, I have a 2 pages notes, plus I have some topics written in my Evernote or something. So I will be writing it on the syllabus. Okay, globalization, my notes, plus these 3 topics from the Vision 365 or something, Forum 360, Forum Factly or something, or 2-3 points from the Evernote. So this I used to write in my syllabus sheet. So later, in the last revision, I will be like keeping all of them with me. I'll be reading them thoroughly. And if I have added anything from the test series, I'll be reading that also. If the whole question I liked, then I'll be tearing that question, that answer from the solutions. I'll be keep pinning it to my own notes. And if I like only some points from the test series, I'll be adding 2-3 points here, and then it's revision. And one thing is that we are never sure of 100% completion of syllabus or 100% revision. We are never completely prepared for this exam. But by the time of exam, whatever we have to dump it in the exam. So that is there. But for that, we have to read more and more. Yeah, it is there. Yeah. I never counted. It depends from day to day. Counting number of hours is something that I never believed in. Approximately is like, so it varied from, in my first attempt in 2019, I used to have class till 1 o'clock in the morning. So from 2 o'clock till 9 o'clock, 6 hours roughly. And morning 1 hour, newspaper 7 hours, and 3 hours in the class. But during my mains, I think we peaked around 12 hours a day, at least, in the last 2 months before mains. So that is the point you have to peak. You cannot read 12 hours a day for the whole year. I couldn't do that for the 2 months only. So it is there. I felt like, okay, I'll be, what am I doing here? Because you have to manage optional test series, GS test series, write essay in between, and you will be having your answer sheets corrected in between. They'll give you some improvements. What is the answer that you have written? What is the question? So you'll be feeling down. Okay, it's like, no, next time I'll write answer. Very good answer for this question. And for essay also. For essay, you have to think broadly. You have to work for essay also. I changed my essay when I told you when I wrote essay for the first time. So there was this Akanksha ma'am at the time in the forum. So I went to her. I showed her my essay, and she was like, she was with some other person. So they both were like, they don't know that I'm from foundation batch. So they thought I was giving mains or something. They were like, ऐसा तो नहीं होगा या क्या लिख रहा है इसमें? What is this? This is not how essay is written. Have you ever written essay in your life? These things happen. I told ma'am I'm from foundation batch, and then she said, okay, sorry. So you don't rush in this preparation. Essay should be written only when you have complete understanding of the syllabus, and you will write only good essays if you have thorough understanding of current affairs, history, world history, ethics, because essay needs all these dimensions. So that is there. So why did I come to essay, by the way? Achha, during mains time, you have to peak your preparation. Now you cannot, before prelims 1 month, you can read more. You have to read more than 10 hours. It's always relative. Because you'll meet some people who will be reading like, okay, 4-5 hours, and he'll say, aaj bahut padha hai, okay. So that is not the case. If somebody is sitting in the library for 10 hours, so he'll be reading more than you. So obviously it's always relative. But you have to maintain the consistency every day, discipline. Before prelims, 10 to 12 hours a day. So you have to do that. If the prelims exam is 6-7 months away, you cannot read 10 to 12 hours. But use your time productively for various other things. So if you have some hobby, I used to sketch in between sometimes, whatever I read in the newspaper. If there are some IT rules, I made a sketch on it. So you can do something that, but only for some point of time. You cannot sit for the whole day and sketch, and you cannot read for the whole month. So only when you're feeling low or bored, so you can do that. So only before exam you have to pick your number of hours. So it varied between 70 to 80. So I think in simulator 1 I got 46 in 2019. So then I was like, no, this is not going to happen. So but by the end of simulator I crossed the 10, or ninth simulator I crossed 110 because I revised all the static and everything. But for 2020 prelims, I remember for some tests I scored more than 130 also sometimes. But I'm not exaggerating because I wrote some tests in vision also. There my scores went to 85 something. I wrote tests in some other, from buying from market, some other. So it varies, but you have to maintain that consistency. I told you that you have to analyze. If you're getting what 130 from static, you're good. If you're not doing good and you're getting 80, if you're not doing good in current affairs and you're getting 85, it's okay. If you're good in static, ultimately you're going to do this exam. And bit of common sense for it. For current affairs or everything, it is there. Mm-hmm. No, you cannot read on the. For example, our preparation ended by. I told you about Jan 8th is exam. So what happened was we planned it in such a way. I had so many things at that time. We both had, because we were writing state PCS mains also at that time in December. It went till 14th of December till 21. So we ended our most of the preparation here. We wrote all this exam. We came back right from 22, 23. We started writing full length tests, revising those solutions. But 22 is over. I wrote essay. We analyzed. We sat for 2 hours and 6 hours left. So 6 hours I will be revising GS 2 for the next day, because I made notes out of it. I had all these current affairs with me. So I revised 6 hours for GS2 and at least 1 hour for GS1. GS1 is mostly you read things for prelims only. If you have decent understanding of all the history, chronology, you can write decent answers. So 1 hour, and next day, if you're planning to start exam at 9 o'clock, so you are getting again 3 hours, 6 to 9, 3 hours. So 4 hours for GS1 in the morning, writing GS1. You will be getting 1 hour, 2 hours gap in between again, reading GS2, writing GS2 exam, evening GS4, ethics. Ethics, you require less time than what I get 6 hours. So I read only 4 hours for ethics and 2 hours for GS3. So this cycle, writing full length tests, we did it thrice: 22, 23, 24, 26, 27, 28, Jan 2, Jan 3, Jan 4, over. And then from Jan 5, Jan 6, again we are revising all the notes that we have. So by the time of writing these full length tests in the January, so we know that okay, we could complete paper, we could write decent answers, and now we just want to remember whatever things that we have read again, revise. So 4, 5, 6, again we have revised whatever notes that we have made. We left optional here only. We ended our optional preparation by 14th. We never touched the optional after it. So, but because we know that after GS we will be getting 7 days or 8 days for optional again. So that is the whole day. You can read 12 hours for optional for the whole day. It's like too much of time for it. People end up wasting some time during that time, 1 week. But if you haven't revised it before, you will be using that week judiciously. No, it's not. Optional is never ending. You make good notes with good understanding before prelims. It will be easy for you after prelims. You join test series. Don't write optional test series before prelims for year long. Optional is like you have to be understanding some things and you have to remember some things. Understanding, once you are done with it, you're okay with it. If you understand the concept of cultural relativism, you're okay with it. You can use it anywhere. But remembering those things, you can do it after your prelims. You write it on paper. You write test series. They will tell you some good examples. They will tell you this is not the way you have written. So all those improvements that you have to do after prelims. Only if you have good notes. For example, I got extra 2-3 months during COVID in 2020. I made only notes for paper 1 during my that I planned before prelims. But prelims got postponed. I got extra 2-3 months. I made paper notes for paper 2 also, for tribal part and everything. I utilized that time for that. So I wrote some test series also. Personally, I wrote previous year questions also in that time. So utilize whenever you get time, na, utilize it. So I'll be so one person, my roommate sometimes ask me, okay, कल का क्या सोचा, कल क्या पढ़ेगा. मैंने बोला था यार next 1 hour का ही सोचा अभी तक. No, I don't know about what I'm going to do for today only. If only I use my next 1 hour judiciously, I'll be thinking about tomorrow. So keep your targets, simple, near. Only then you'll be good. You cannot think, if you are okay, I'll do this book tomorrow. You won't be reading it today. Why not today? So just keep it simple, and you'll have so much of time if you adopt this policy. You'll be reading. You will be completing every target that you kept, every schedule you keep within time. There will be more time for you. So okay. Keep target simple then. If you couldn't do 100 questions, 100 pages in one day, make it 50 first, then 60. Go from less to more. You'll do it. You cannot, but at the same time, you cannot look at others and you can keep the same targets as the other person. Every person's reading speed is different. It varies from person to person. My reading speed is different from my brother. He used to tell me that you read fast, you can understand things better than me in very short time. So it varies from person to person. So you cannot, no one person can have the same schedule. So you keep your target simple. If you cannot do 100 pages, do 60 pages. If you're doing 60 pages, you will get that sense of achievement, and only then you will be like, okay, I'll do 70 pages tomorrow. Slowly it will go. Okay, sir. Thank you very much. All the best for you for prelims.